Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everyone present here. I, Atmadeep Ganguly, Department of Microbiology, Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Centenary College, Rahora, on behalf of the college, take this gracious opportunity to welcome you all to the first day of the 2 days national seminar on the 125th year of service of Ramakrishna Mission, organized by Indian Council of Social Science Research, ICSSR, New Delhi. So, I would like to call upon our revered Principal Maharaj, Swami Kamalasthanandaji, and most revered Swami Sarvottamanandaji Maharaj, Vice Chancellor and Secretary, Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Educational and Research Institute, Belur Math. Yes. श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम् सहना भवतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ओम् ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः ॐ यथा अग्निर्दाहिका शक्ति रामकृष्णे स्थिता हिया सर्वविद्यास्वरूपां त्वां शारदां प्रणमाम्यहम् ॐ परतत्त्वे सदा लीनो रामकृष्णे समाज्ञया यो धर्मस्थापनारतो वीरेशं तं नमाम्यहम्. Good morning, everyone. So, I welcome you all to the 2 days national seminar on the 125th year of service of Ramakrishna Mission, organized by the Indian Council of Social Science Research, ICSSR, New Delhi. First, I would like to request our revered Principal Maharaj, Swami Kamalasthanandaji, to felicitate revered Swami Sarvottamanandaji Maharaj, Vice Chancellor and Secretary, RKM Vedi, Belur Math. Now, I would like to request revered Swami Kamalasthanandaji Maharaj for the welcome address.
So, our very respected revered Swami Sarvottamanandaji on the dais, and in front of me the respected monastic members of Ramakrishna Mission and my dear students. So today we are very happy to organize the 125th year of service of Ramakrishna Mission. And for this purpose, this 2 days national seminar And as you have heard that this seminar sponsored by ICSSR. And this 2 days seminar, there are more than about 5 sessions and about 10 speakers from different parts of India. They will speak different aspects of Ramakrishna mission, which has actually now we are seeing all over India and abroad also. So it will be a very enriching one to everyone. So before that, I just tell few words. Like many other things in the world, the Ramakrishna mission had a very humble beginning. It began 126 years ago on the 1st May 1897, when a small group of monks and lay devotees of Sri Ramakrishna met in the hall of Balaram Bose's house in Bagbazar, Calcutta. There were no press reporter, no media men, no crowd. The outside world knew nothing of the meeting. But as it turned out later on, it was one of the most momentous meetings in the recent history. The monks and lay devotees had assembled in response to call given by one of the greatest spiritual leaders of mankind, Swami Vivekananda, and the meeting brought into existence one of the most spiritual organizations in the world, working for the welfare of mankind. The Ramakrishna mission is centered on the ideal of Sri Ramakrishna. He is not only the main source of inspiration and exemplar, but the living guide and ultimate goal of all Ramakrishna mission undertakings. He is respected as a world teacher or prophet who came with a message for the East and the West. Sri Ramakrishna embodied in himself all the spiritual glory of India's past, whereas Swami Vivekananda embodied in himself all the immense possibilities of the future. The combination of these two personalities gives the Ramakrishna mission its real power and dynamism. According to Swami Vivekananda, the national ideals of India are renunciation and service. Sri Ramakrishna was the supreme embodiment of these ideals. Hence, Swami Vivekananda spoke of Sri Ramakrishna as the national ideal of India. In the address given in Calcutta after his return from West, Swamiji said, "Such a hero has been given to us in the person of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. If this nation wants to rise, take my word for it, it will have to rally enthusiastically round his name. In duty bound, therefore, for the good of our race, for the good of our religion, I place this great spiritual ideal before you." Through this ideal of service of God in men, Ramakrishna mission became the front runner to the spiritual and social revolution in India during the last 125 years. Each period has its own conditions and requirement. 19th century India was ridden with utter poverty, a series of man-made and natural calamities, social inequalities, political subjugation, the lack of universal education system, and the absence of economic opportunities. In the last few years of the 19th century, the Ramakrishna mission, with its meager human and financial resources, arranged some relief works, including the plague medical relief in Kolkata and also the drought relief in Murshidabad district of Bengal. These were spearheaded by Sister Nivedita and Swami Akhandananda respectively. Then, in course of time, permanent medical facilities were established by the monks of Ramakrishna Mission in the pilgrimage places of Kashi, Haridwar, and Vrindavan. Subsequently, relief was provided to the refugees during the Second World War and the partition of India, and to those who were severely affected by natural calamities like drought, floods, communal clashes, fire, and the like. Later, the Ramakrishna Mission became a front runner in providing quality nationalistic education to thousands of students coming from middle class and poor section of society, including refugees children. It rendered yeoman service in the time of partition by opening orphanages and schools. The educational work of the mission, which commenced humbly in the pre-independence period, made major headway after independence with the establishment of huge educational institutions across the country. The mission successfully expanded its relief activities into several major rehabilitation projects, spending a huge amount of money. The earthquake rehabilitation project in Latur, Maharashtra, 1993. Odisha super cyclone rehabilitation project, 1999. Andhra Pradesh cyclone rehabilitation project, 1999 to 2000. And Gujarat earthquake rehabilitation project in 2001 are glowing illustration of the efficient planning and effective execution of housing projects undertaken by Ramakrishna Mission. During the 150th birth celebration of Swami Vivekananda, that is 2012 to 2013, the Ramakrishna Mission undertook several mass educational and welfare programs such as Value Education Projects and Gadadhar Abhyuday Prakalpa GAP, an integrated child welfare scheme. Many centers of Ramakrishna Mission are extending their service endeavors in diversified areas according to the needs of the time. The institution of human excellence, youth, student counseling, skill development programs, languages, computer learning centers, and the provision of self-development and self-employment are some of the fields in which Ramakrishna Mission is expanding its service activities in recent times. Ramakrishna Mission has also been recognized as a fitting instrument in bringing about a silent educational and social revolution in many parts of India. The non-sectarian and non-political nature of the work has been appreciated by several international agencies like UNESCO and others. The 2 days national seminar, the different service aspect of Ramakrishna Mission in last 125 years will be discussed by eminent speakers in this field during 6 sessions. Definitely, this gives us an idea about the service activities of Ramakrishna Mission. So we are very happy to have the revered Maharaj today for inauguration of this 2 days seminar, and you are happy. I think all you have known that he is a great teacher. More than 25 years he is engaged in teaching in higher education, firstly Vidya Mandir and also now the Vivekananda University. And I think all you may not know, I little bit know about his past student life. He is a great scholar. He stood second in All India joint entrance examination. Afterwards, he admitted in BTech in IIT Kanpur. Then master degree, PhD done there. And then afterwards, he took this life of monastic and doing service to the millions of students and other peoples. So we are very happy to have in this inaugural session for this inauguration of this 2 days national seminar. So on behalf of this college, on all behalf of the all students, staff member, we pay our respectful pronouns to him because He is a very busy person. He is the Vice Chancellor of this great university. In spite of that, just yesterday we arranged actually this program. He already accepted our invitation. And today also before time, before 10 o'clock, he reached here. So very serious person, good student, good teacher, good human being. So all this respect, he is a very good man. So we, once again, we pay our respectful pronouns to him for attending this program. So thanks all of you present here, and also thank you all.
Thank you, Maharaj, for your valuable words. Now, I would like to call upon Most Revered Swami Sarvottamanandaji Maharaj, Vice Chancellor and Assistant Secretary, RKM Very, Belur Math, for delivering a few words.
नमः श्री यतिराजाय विवेकानंद सूरये सच्चित सुखद स्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे. Respected Swami Kamalasthananda Ji Maharaj, my dear sadhus, my dear brothers monks, very dear students and teachers. First I thought that I would speak in Bengali because most of you here are Bengali, but Revered Maharaj told me to speak in English. I would mostly talk about the education policy of our Ramakrishna mission because I am in the education field, so I know most about it. And I will be mostly addressing the students. Some things I may talk to our brother monks, but mostly I will be addressing the students only. Because I am there in the educational institutes of Ramakrishna mission for my past 25 to 30 years. 2 years I was in training center. Other than that, almost whole of the period was spent in colleges, in the university, and very brief period in our Arunachal Pradesh, Narottam Nagar school. So I am very much interested in education. I know about education and I know the students also, at least the students of your age, what they think about, how they think, and what are their aspirations. So I will be mostly addressing only you. A little bit I may be addressing our brother monks, but they have heard about these things quite a lot, so mostly, and they will feel bored about this hearing again and again. You have also heard about this, our man making character building education and other things quite often, but even then, some things I may have to offer to you. First of all, we have to answer very basic questions, like what is education, why we should worry about these issues, and if we are convinced about what is the education, why we should, what are the things that we have to aspire for the education, then the last thing is how. So these are actually the management words. Management people, they often talk about these 3 words: what, why, how. So any objectives and aims they have, they speak about this, what is to be achieved and why we should do that and how we should that. See, how is very important, because what and why answering those things are not enough. They are all theoretical. You have to be very pragmatic and practical also, because you have to, once you have fixed the objective or you have fixed the aim, in our case the ideal. So not talking about, but just talking about the ideal is not enough. We have to also have a plan to achieve that. So this practical and pragmatic part is also must also be there. So that is why we have here Even though you may not know this, you may think that our educational institutions are like any other education institution. But we do have an education policy, we do have an educational philosophy, and then we have got a method. Though we may not be very successful, if you see our past history, we have some successes, but the aim is, our ideal is too high. So we are even, now we are trying to achieve that ideal, and we think that it is still too far. We have achieved something, but actually, as you may notice, that we are slightly different from other institutions. So that much we have achieved, but still we have to achieve more. So what is our education philosophy? What is our education policy, and what are the methods? So for these, we have to answer what I said. We have to answer three very basic questions like what, why, and how of education. So what is education? Again, this what is education and why of education, these two are very important. You are always all science people like me. So I am a computer science person. So in computer science, we have got this agile techniques. So agile techniques can be applied everywhere. In agile techniques, it is a continuous development process. This can be also applied to our education. So what is this agile technique about? So whenever you have got a goal, see even in the nowadays, in engineering at least, so they want to separate themselves from the management processes. So why they do that? There is a lot of history. Basically, the engineers say all the work we do, and then the engineers take the managers take the advantage. So that is why we'll bring the management process in our engineering processes. So in agile processes, you have to first fix it is very practical. I am talking about these terms. So these are management terms or even very high sounding terms, but these are very practical. What they do is, they do the development in cycle. We have got software engineering, our computer science people will know that. So in our practices, in our software engineering practices, first we fix the goal. Then after fixing a goal, what we do is we do the task of acquiring the knowledge to achieve that goal. So first we fix the goal, then we acquire the know-how, how to achieve that goal. And third thing is, we implement whatever we have learned. Fourth step is, we reevaluate everything and then redo the process. These processes are when we have a continuous, they call it continuous development, or we have to, we can say that we have to deliver, continuous deliverance. So education is something which is continuous deliverance. There is no stop, like 1 year, 2 years, you have done this education process and then finished. It is not like that. It is ongoing process. So hundreds of years you have got this education process. Every year you teach people, they enter the society, then you have a next batch, you come, it goes through the education process, and same education process, as you know, it is not enough, it is continuous development. So as we have to have an education policy, we have to have an education philosophy, which must deal with this continuous evaluation process, which is like continuous development, continuous delivery, and it should be an evolving process also. And it is actually an evolving process, because earlier we had a Gurukul system, and then later on it was modern, our school system, and modern school system are also changing. Like after the Second World War, we have a different kind of system. We are actually old people. So we know that so I was born in 68, and it was just 20 years after the independence. So that time our school system, our college system was very rudimentary. And even 80s and 90s, when you were born, you are born in 90s and, sorry, you are born in in this millennium. So that means you have not even seen the 80s and 90s. That time education system was completely different, though they were by name, they were the same universities, colleges, but the system was very different. So we know that we have seen this evolution process. So anyway, back to the agile process. So you know that to acquire the knowledge, you have to fix the goal. So that is the important part. So that is why I said this what and why, these are connected. So to answer this what is education, how we should do that, this why has to be answered. Because you see, you are all science people, I am also a science person, we should say why should we bother about this? So that is why has to be answered. This very basic question, what and why of education, when we say that education is the manifestation of perfection already in man, why we should bother about it? So this is why we should bother, because we have to fix the aim first. And depending on this aim, all the education philosophy, education policy, all will change actually. So even though it may look like a same kind of institution, but it depends on the aim actually. What is the aim of the education? What is the aim of the education for the society, for the nation, for the humanity, or for the individual being? Actually, these answers are different. For example, for an individual, you may think, what is there? Aim of education, just acquiring skills, acquiring knowledge for my career. That is what education is about. And but same thing is not true for the society. Society is not worried about the skills and knowledge that you gain. It has some other goals. Humanity has some other goals. And nation has got some other goals, definitely. So, for example, nation, because of their different goals, they will have different set of rules for the UGC, for the colleges, for the administration, and they have got a different policy. They would not be so much worried about the career of the person, for example. So, naturally, they have got their own small set of resources. They don't have infinite resources. So that is why they have to make this ranking of the students and admission criteria, admission eligibility, and only few people. See, everyone would like to go to IIT, AIMS, a topmost institution, but the government cannot do that. So they have got this education policy which is geared for discrimination among the meritorious student and non-meritorious student. So anyway, what it goes to show is they have got different policies and different aims. So we have to fix these aims. So what these aims can be? So for example, people may think that this highest goal is like knowledge for the sake of knowledge, and but not everyone. People may talk about it, but in their mind, the goal is not knowledge for the sake of knowledge. So what are the other goals? Other goals is prosperity of humanity, peace of the world, or actually it all depends on what your profession is. So for example, the economists, for them the goal of the world is kind of everyone should have, the economy of the world should be good. Like they would say that to maintain certain GDP, that is the goal of the world. And for doctors, it may be like healthy life. For example, your activists, what they will say, activists are generally, they are more idealistic. So they talk about this peace of world, or nuclear armament, or equality, brotherhood, fraternity. So these things are the goal of the life, goal of the world. But for us, we are spiritual beings. So we also try to answer this question, what is the goal of the world? So how do we answer this question? That is the question before us. We are all very science-minded people. So we try to answer this question, how can we answer this? What is the goal of the world? So see, in science we have got this reductionist process. So one is reductionist process, other is kind of, which is earlier it was said to be holistic process, but now the word holistic meaning has changed actually. So earlier holistic is, the meaning of holistic was that 1 plus 1 is greater than 2, and reductionist process is not that. Reductionist process 1 plus 1 equal to 2. So what they do is, how this reductionist process works, so suppose we want to know about an aeroplane. What we do is, we divide this aeroplane into small parts, understand each part, like what the wing does, what the wheel does, and how this internal, this aerodynamics works. Everything we break out the whole thing, and it is a complex system. Complex system is broken into simpler systems. We understand each simple system, and then we understand the whole complex system. So the same thing for rocket. We break down everything. Nuclear reactor, very complex. Computer, for example, we understand what is motherboard, what is CPU, what is monitor, what is keyboard, what is mouse. Everything we reduce everything to smaller components, understand each component, and then we understand the whole thing. So that is the reductionist process of science. But the same thing we cannot apply to society. So what we try to understand is the genesis. So how these things were created. So what is the, that is ontological. It is called ontological reasoning. So in ontological reasoning, what we do is we find the genesis of the things. So for example, human being. So what is the genesis? How this thing was created? So in spirituality, we come back to spirituality. In spirituality, what happens is, the answer of this is that originally we were perfect. So that is why the aim of our being is to achieve that perfection. You achieve that perfection back, which was already ours. So it is not something that we are gaining something. It was already ours. We had lost. So we have to achieve it again back. So what is already ours, that we are trying to claim. So that is our Vedantic spirituality, Vedantic spiritual understanding. So this, from this is ontological reasoning. So because of this, that we are perfect, we are divine originally. We have lost that divinity. We had lost that perfection. That is why the main thing is to attain that divinity perfection back. So this changes the thing, because if we are like our science people say, actually not science, our materialistic people say. Materialistic people say we are bunch of atoms, we are bunch of carbon molecules. This you may or may not have heard, probably microbiology people may talk about it. So these are actually maxims we used to hear in our times. Probably, I don't know what our modern students, modern student folk have maxims nowadays. So we used to hear like these words, like man is just a bunch of, it is a one step below than the man is a social animal, for example. Man is a social, man is a bunch of molecules, and that science and religion are orthogonal, like science does not have a moral dimension. Actually, this we used to hear 30 years back. Now we have changed, the things have changed a lot. We don't hear this. Now we hear this value-based education, etc. So things have changed actually. Why they have changed, that I will come to this point. But like this, earlier thing that I want to explain. So when you understand the genesis of the man is different, it is something else, then the goals change. And when the goals change, what happens? See, when the goals change, the education philosophy, education policy also change. That is why you see our education thing is not just acquiring knowledge. It is what Swamiji said, education is manifestation of perfection already in man. So that becomes the goal. So though we hear this a lot, like education is the manifestation of perfection already in man, religion is a manifestation of divinity already in man, but behind this understanding is there. It is not just acquiring knowledge. It is regaining our own nature. So that why, see, I told you about asking this question, what, why, how. So why we should do that? Because that is our real nature. It is not something foreign to us. It's not like something foreign, we are forced to do that. We have to do that because that is our real nature. So if we understand that, the things actually change. So if we understand that that is our real nature, then education becomes like, well, we have to achieve. So this agile process, fixing the goal, it leads to what should be our process. So this is how it is related. First we have to answer what is the aim. Then when we fix the aim, depending on that, our process change, and education is that process. So our whole education philosophy of Ramakrishna mission is that. So we have to work towards making man perfect. So I am only talking about this making man perfect, but it is also related to our society, goal of humanity, goal of nation. Why I say so? Though it may look like different, these goals might be different. Though see, many people say, like for example, if we take care of a person, these goals will be automatically taken care of. Though it is not right, actually, not correct. Why it is so? See, mathematics people, I think mathematics, computer science, and microbiology. So mathematics people will know about this. John Nash, you have got John Nash equilibrium, where see, local optimal is not global optimum. So our maths people will know words. Our computer science people will also understand this local optimal is not, optimum is not global optimum. Microbiology will have problem understanding this. But in simple words, like it is not true that if a person optimizes his goal, then as a whole, the goal of whole society, whole group may be optimized. The example is like prisoner's dilemma, where if there are two prisoners, if both tell the truth, they have got their punishment will be more. If none tells, then there will be certain punishment. One tells, one does not tell, then who tells the truth, he will be freed, and who does not tell the truth, he will be punished heavily again. So here what will happen is both will tell the truth, and then both will be punished like. So that is why local optima is not the optima of the group. So that is, it means that a local person, if he optimizes his goal, like it's not true, management turn is their win-win situation, everyone wins. It's not true. Not every case this win-win situation happens. So if someone wins, then other will lose. So that means individual goal may or may not be equal to, may not be same of the national goal or the society goal of the society. But the thing is, again, in the spiritual sense, it does not happen like that. That was this vision of Swamiji. Swamiji had this microcosm is macrocosm vision. Just as in the microcosm, we have got this spiritual being. In the macrocosm also we have got this spiritual being, and this spiritual being is same actually. So for example, just we have this spiritual like existence, we have the soul, the nation has got the soul, the society has got the soul, humanity has got the soul, and this soul is same. That is why the goals of all are like very objective, it's not subjective, it's objective goal, and it is actually the same, that is attaining the perfection, attaining the divinity. And because of this, actually the goals do not conflict. So we have to attain perfection for everything, for the human being, for the humanity, for the nation, and for the society. So this is how we actually understand about this, our education policy and education philosophy. Education philosophy, policy are different. Philosophy is the ideal, and policy is like we talk about aim and objectives. Aims is education philosophy. Aims are ruled by this philosophy, and objectives, which are like one is strategy and one is tactics. So tactics is your objectives, which is policy, like immediate goals, immediately how you work to attain this policy. So that is how you can understand why we talk so much about this man-making education. See, our goal is not just acquiring of knowledge for the sake of knowledge. For us, it is the means. The end is something else. End is this attaining of perfection. So that is why we don't see. Actually, it becomes like maxim: knowledge for the sake of knowledge, renunciation for the sake of renunciation, whatever for the sake of whatever. So, but actually, it is not true. Though people talk, and when you hear this, it sounds very nice, like knowledge for the sake of knowledge. But usually you will see that who works for the sake of knowledge. You stop their benefits, you stop their payment, whatever their salary, whatever their pay, who will work for the sake of knowledge? They will immediately give up the company, give up the institution, go to the other institution which is offering them more. So hearing this or listening to this, it sounds very nice, but practically probably only Mahatma Buddha will do good for the sake of good. Other will probably, they will have a lot of different things for which they are working. So usually it is, though people may say that, and they will talk to us, it is only to teach others, not for their own self. But anyway, we have this goal which is different, and education is the means to attain that goal. This we have to understand. We are not talking about education as the goal. We are talking about education as a means to achieve some goal. So that is why our education is something different. And what is education? I have already talked about. It is, as Swamiji said, see, we are spiritual people, so there is no doubt about it. So definitely, otherwise why we will actually have won this Hawker Post. So we are spiritual people, and we believe in Swamiji's philosophy given by Swamiji. There is no doubt about it. So, but you may ask this question, why we as a religious organization deal with such secular thing as education, or relief is fine, you should understand, maybe medical service also, but education now it has become a very money-making profession in the outside world. Because we have got certain philosophy. That is the answer. This philosophy of education, our education philosophy is different. Though you may always question how much we have been able to achieve, but that is a different question. This is our ideal. Ideal is this education is the manifestation of perfection already in man, and the way is that man-making, character-building education. Everything you can now understand why we talk about this. We don't talk about education for the sake of education, education for the, like every university has this goal. Like for example, if you go to our website, you will also see that pursuit of excellence. Like every education institution has this goal of pursuit of excellence. But other than that, we have also got, you will see that in our website, in vision and mission statement, we have to have vision and mission statement. In our vision and mission statement, it is also humanitarian values and harmony of Eastern and Western values. So these three combining is our vision and mission statement. So now you can understand why we have got this vision and mission statement in the background of what our goals are. So these goals are heavily influenced by our education philosophy. Last question is like how we should achieve that. So that is the $1 million question, because our education philosophy is all right, education policy is all right, but how to achieve that? So this is a very important question for you also, because you have to answer this question, why you have to have this morality based education. See, the problem is earlier people used to talk about, like in our times we had heard this quite often, that education and religion are orthogonal. Mathematics people will understand what we mean by orthogonality. Orthogonality is when two vectors, the dot product is zero like. So that means they don't have, in the common parlance, it is that they don't have any common factor in it, like, because you project them, projection is zero. Like. So that is why when you say that science and religion they are orthogonal, that means they don't have anything common in between. So that was what people, or in fact people used to talk about that, like for example, really science does not have moral dimension, same thing, because if the dimensions are different, again they are orthogonal. Like, but see, earlier people used to talk about like this, but after Second World War we cannot talk about like that. Very simple, because of the atom bomb. Atom bomb was product of science and it killed people. So, and it not just killed the military, it killed the normal citizens. So there is a lot of ethics involved actually. So after that, this ethical question, it is hounding the science people, and it will hound the science people for many years to come. After that, you cannot say just for knowledge for the sake of knowledge, because it can destroy. So it can support destruction. Though people are there, people use the science for their purpose, but even then, science will have to answer, will have to take the responsibility. It's not that science will not take the responsibility, cannot take the responsibility. Just like in religion, when there are like sectarian clashes, people blame religion for it. So similarly, if the science will destroy, science will have to take blame on. So that means science will have a certain responsibility to deal with things. That is why you see now people don't talk about that we have to have keep the value-based education separate from the normal education. So this is an important point. See, in earlier days, in our days, people would say, whenever this value-based education talk used to come, some professor, some student, he will stand and he say, why is there is need? But nowadays, if I go and attend some seminar in UGC elsewhere, if I say something like character building education, no one actually disagrees. So a very surprising thing. So even the professors, their big vice chancellor, they accept it. Why it is so is because earlier people used to think that these are the things which are to be taught by the families. See, even now people hear these things. But what is happening now? The families are breaking, and you don't have joint families. Father goes to work, mother goes to work, there is no one in the home to teach the kid. So and again, because of divorces and many problems in the society, the families are breaking. So that means you cannot teach kids now the morality and ethics. So now the modern educationists, they are thinking that whatever is the families were supposed to teach, whatever the societies were supposed to teach, whatever the people were supposed to learn by themselves, everything has to be brought into the ambit of school education and the college education. Very surprising thing. You may not know about these things, but this thought is going on for some time. That whatever, see, these are actually buzzwords. So, what are these? Accessible, learnable, teachables. So, learnable, teachables, whatever is teachable and learnable, that has to be brought into the ambit of education. Learnable, teachable means, suppose the character can be taught and a character can be learned, then it has to be brought into the school education and college education. So whatever is learnable, teachable, and it has to be made affordable, accessible, accessible. So these are all words are there. So what is affordable? The education is available, but it is not affordable because it costs you quite a lot. even if it is affordable, it is not accessible. For example, IIT is affordable. Like if you go to IIT, the fees are not so much, but it is not accessible. Why? Because you cannot get into IIT. IIT JEE exam is very tough. So you have to be affordable, then accessible. After that, you have to have deliverables. Then you have to have assessables. Whatever is deliverable you have to have proper assessment. Proper assessment, after that you have to have measurable, quantifiables. After that measurable, after that quantifiable, you have to give grades, because finally you have to put this student in the society, and there he will be again a meritorious list will be made, because this is a competitive society. So all these terms are there. But what I want to say, that this about first point, learnable and teachables. So whatever is teachable and learnable, so teachable by the teachers and learnable, learned by the students. So whatever is teachable and the learnable, that has to be brought in the ambit of school. Whatever. So question is whether you want good citizens or not. If you want good citizens, then why not bring this value-based education in the school? So why we should leave this to the family, which are clearly not equipped enough to teach the students. So that is why nowadays this thought is becoming more and more prominent. We have got this ethics and value-based and this universal values, equality, like gender equality, race equality, and religion equality, all these equalities to be taught in the school and college, not just school curriculum. It is also, see, nowadays, this I am finding very surprising. So when I go to the UGC meetings, they also talk about these things to be brought in the higher education, like in our college education, in university education. In fact, in our PhD, also we have got this research ethics program. Why is that so? Because there are problems. You should understand this very clearly. So if there were no problems in the academic community, if there were no problems in the professional committee, there was no need to teach that. But you see, you go to your hospitals, they are like the professional attitude is not there. So people are working for money. So they are not interested in saving lives. So in the education field, you see that teachers don't have professionality. So that means there are problems. In military, there is problem. In law enforcement agencies, there are problems. In judgment, in our administrative agencies, there are problems. Because of this, you can understand this professional ethics is very much needed. And what better place to teach about professional ethics than the higher education institution? Because higher educational institutions are the places where the professions are taught. See, the schools are for all-round development. You may not know, because most of you will be coming from the middle class background. In middle class of background, it is considered very bad, because they only worry about their career. So that is why we don't think that schools are for all-round development. Actually, schools are for all-round development. We are supposed to learn science. We are also supposed to learn music and our cultural things, dance, drawing, and even our sports. Everything is we are supposed to learn in our schools. So schools are for all-round development. After that, for profession, it is higher education. And actually, as you go for PhD and masters, it is for MTech is masters are supposed to focus only in one field, and PhDs are supposed to be very narrow, only one problem. So that we go to more and more expert or more and more specialized thing as we actually go from school education. School are very broad-based, and PhDs are actually you have to go very deep into such. For example, when I worked in for my PhD in 5 years, I was working only in 3 problems actually. 2 or 3 problems people will work in whole of their PhD. So in fact, I learned more in my BTech days and school than maybe in PhD, but it gives you other kind of expertise, other kinds of skills. So for us, I will come back to the subject. Education is not just development of skills and acquiring of knowledge. It is also for the transformation, very different, it has got different connotation. Because people only talk about this acquiring of skills and acquiring of knowledge. But I am also talking about the self-transformation. So, in fact, when I was talking about one of our, I think our Delhi University or JNU Vice Chancellor, he told me, see, if you talk about this character transformation, then it is kind of the education, it becomes like it is changing, it is interfering with with a person, with a human being. So I told him that actually not just our character building education, every education, it is kind of, it transforms the being. So if you leave the person, you don't teach him science, what will happen? He will become a tribal person. So when you are teaching science, isn't the person changing? So every education transforms the thing. What we are thinking, what we are talking about is we want to transform person and bring him back to his own nature. So actually we are though we are using the words transformation, but it is actually manifestation. We are trying to manifest his own self-reality. That is, but not every person is spiritual. So that is why we talk about the transformation part. So our knowledge is not just acquiring skills, and acquiring skills our engineering people understand, or mathematics they will think about this acquiring knowledge. So acquiring knowledge and acquiring skills, but also it is this transformative kind of education that we want. The method is, last I come to the last question. So it is almost nearing 40 minutes, 45 minutes. So last thing I would like to talk about, like how we do it. It's unlike your science education, because science education, as I said, it is because you have got reductionism. So you break it into smaller systems and you have this model of smaller systems, and you have got block diagrams, you teach them, and then you can teach them about the real world, for example. So you model world you teach, and then you can teach about the real world also. But in other, this character building, man making education, can it not be taught? It can be. So in fact, our Gurukula system was that. I am not saying that Gurukul system has to be brought about, because some people think that it is kind of not, again, a buzzword. It is not scalable. Scalable, like small units, you can do this Gurukul system. But for 140 crores of people, if you have Gurukul system, 140 crores will be at least 20-30 crores will be your students. And for 20-30 crores Gurukula system, it will be quite a big Gurukula system. Every, half of every city will be kind of, you have to put for the Gurukula, Gurukula establishment. So that is why people say that Gurukula system is not possible. But anyway, this how we have to solve this problem. And I would not say that this Gurukula system is impractical, because at one point of time, whole country we had this full of Gurukula system. So at one point of time, when there was the modern education system, modern school system was not there, at that time whole country had this Gurukula system. I am not saying that we have to bring this Gurukula system back. What I want to say is this: we have to combine this Gurukula system with the modern education system. That is what we are actually trying to do. This modern school and college and university system We have to have these examples of Tyaga Vairagya in the systems, like you have got these sadhus. So that is our method. The values can be taught. They cannot be taught in books, through books, but they can be taught through life. That is our method. So it can be by living examples you can teach. See, parents, they talk about telling truth to their kids, but why do not the kids learn telling truth, not telling lies? Because the parents themselves tell lies in front of the kids. That is why children, they don't learn. The children will learn only if the parents themselves give up telling lies. So in our spiritual world, there is also this story of Vaidya. So you might have heard about this story of Vaidya. So one day a child and his mother came for some cure, and he told them to come on a later date. On the later date, when he said some simple thing that he should not eat guda, then his mother asked, "You could have told this yesterday. Why you are telling me this today?" Then he said that earlier there was molasses good in my house, and seeing that, the kid will think that this Vaidya himself is eating good and molasses, and why he is telling me. So one has to practice what he preaches. Only then the children, the student will learn values. So my time is over. With this, I will finish my talk. We have generally talked about only education, what, why, and how of education. So just summarizing, our what and why, it depends on the goal, and our goal is this perfection that is already in man. So that is why Swamiji said, education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. And why we have to do it? Very easy, because it is our own nature. It's not that someone else is putting, or it is someone else is goading us to do that. It is our own nature. So it is for our own good that we have to do it. And how the teachers, the whole system, we have to have this bottom-up approach, and from the bottom of the society, from the like Trinamool, no? So we have to start from the grassroots and do this, improve. For that, no one else is to be blamed. The students themselves have to work, and the teachers have to work themselves for this goal of manifestation of perfection, which is already in man. So that is why Swamiji was very adamant in always telling that you can do everything, because that perfection is already in man. Thank you very much. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Thank you, Maharaj, for your valuable and inspiring words. So now we have a 15 minutes tea break, short tea break. We will be meeting again at sharp 12 p.m. Thank you.